Thanks. Good morning and assalamu alaikum. May the peace and blessings be showered amongst you all. My name is Hanadi Doleh. I am the Director of Community Partnerships here at the Interfaith Center of New York. As we begin today's Faith and Democracy Conference, I want to take a moment to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded lands of the Munsee Lenape people. We honor their enduring relationship to this land, which remains sacred to them. This acknowledgement reminds us of our responsibility to care for the earth and each other, as these principles are deeply intertwined with the values of faith and democracy. Let us use this moment to reflect on how we can build a more just and inclusive society, not only in our words, but in our actions. We are delighted you will be joining us today for our annual Social Justice Conference. Today's conference will focus on faith and democracy, educating communities for a better future. The conference is co-sponsored by the New York City Civic Engagement Commission and the League of Women Voters of the City of New York. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome you all today. We gather as faith leaders, activists, and community champions, united by a shared commitment to justice, equity, and a flourishing of democracy in our world. In our time, the intersection of faith and democracy faces unprecedented challenges and opportunities. Around the globe, we witness the enduring struggle for human rights, from the voices calling for freedom in Gaza and Ukraine, to communities grappling with climate disasters in places like Pakistan and the Philippines. These struggles remind us of our moral obligation to stand in solidarity with the most vulnerable and to amplify their voices. Closer to home, we are at a pivotal moment in New York City. With local elections shaping the future of our neighborhoods, our collective responsibility as civic leaders is clear: to engage, to educate, and to empower. New York City is a beacon of possibility, but it is also a place where inequities persist, whether in housing, education, or access to basic services. It is our duty to hold our leaders accountable and to ensure that democracy works for all New Yorkers, regardless of their zip code, faith, or background. The challenges are many, but so too are the opportunities. Faith has always been a cornerstone of democratic movements, providing not just a moral compass, but also courage to imagine and fight for a better future. From the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we have seen how faith communities can galvanize people towards transformative change. This conference is a testament to the power of collective action. Over the next few hours, we will engage in dialogue, shared strategies, and build partnerships that will fortify our communities against the forces of division and despair. Together, we will explore what it means to bring our values to the public square, to ensure that compassion, dignity, and equity guide our democracy. Today, you will hear from experts that have been at the forefront of our society's response to faith, democracy, and civic engagement. Our goal today is to support diverse New York faith communities as they address this extraordinary challenge. The conference will also include presentations and conversations with diverse thought leaders, activists, and civic officials. You'll have small group workshops, a call to action with practical steps you and your community can take to protect democracy, as well as network and community building to build the civic infrastructure of New York City. As we open this conference, I urge you to bring your full selves, your wisdom, your questions, your hope, and your faith. Let us leave no stone unturned as we work to deepen the ties between our communities and strengthen the pillars of our democracy. Thank you for being here, for your leadership, and your commitment to building a brighter, more inclusive future. Let us embark on this journey together. Welcome to the Faith and Democracy Conference. And with that, I would like to introduce Tandeep Kaur Sawhney, founder and executive director of Asees Foundation and a current ICLA Interfaith Civic Leadership Academy Fellow.
Good morning, everybody. I've been asked to lead with prayer. In the Sikh tradition, an ardas is a plea or a prayer that first begins by commemorating and celebrating those individuals, those beacons of lights like Guru Nanak, who were so steadfast and unwavering in their faith and in their love that they were able to make sacrifices big and small for the greater good. It then goes into a request, a prayer of asking for strength and courage for us to live up to those same ordeals, and then ends with asking for Sarbat Bala, a prayer asking for the well-being of all people, regardless of faith, gender, creed, religion, and socioeconomic status. We don't refer to God as any one individual. We consider it a divine being, a oneness that permeates and transcends all throughout creation and manifests through love. And so we use the term Vaheguru, which is awe-inspiring light. And in observance of that oneness and in observance of that light, in the Sikh tradition, we stand for this prayer, we cover our heads, and we remove our shoes to acknowledge that divine being in this room, in ourselves, and in our environment. I invite you to do so if you are able to, and I ask you to stand. And specifically for this purpose, I have worn matching socks. Dine taap nivaran hara dukh hanta sukh ras tako bighn na ko lage jaki prabh aage ardas ardas ek onkar Sri Vaheguru ji ki fateh Shri Bhagoti ji sahay va Shri Bhagoti ji ki paatshaahi dasवीं प्रथम भगवती सिमर कै गुर नानक ले ध्याए फिर अंगद गुर ते अमरदास रामदास होए सहाय अर्जन हर गोबिंद नो सिमरो श्री हराए श्री हरकृष्ण ध्याइए जिस डिठे सब दुख जाए तेग बहादुर सिमरिया कर नो ने ध्यावे ताए सब थाई होए सहाय दसवें पातशाह धन धन श्री गुरु गोबिंद सिंह साहिब जी सब थाई होए सहाय दसां पातशाहां दी जोत धन धन श्री गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब जी दे पाठ दी दार दा ध्यान करके खालसा जी बोलो जी वाहेगुरु हे ने माणिया दे मान ने ताणिया दे ताण ने ओटियां दी ओट ने आसरिया दे आसरे सच्चे पिता वाहेगुरु जीओ आप जी दे हजूर गुरु साहिब जीओ your children are gathered here to be centered in faith and in love during turbulent waters. Please guide us with your light, steady our hearts with your grace, and inspire us with courage to uphold truth. Bless us as we open this Faith and Democracy Conference with open hearts and open minds as we learn new perspectives and engage in meaningful dialogue. Help us take these lessons home, empower and implement positive change, and serve our communities with compassion and integrity. Jagat jalanda rakhle apni kirpa tar, jit tuare upare ditta leo bar, satko sukh vikhalya sacha sabat vichar, nanak avarna sujay harbin baksin hai Guru Sahib Jio. We are surrounded by the fire of vices all around us. Allow us to be still in these moments of reflection and remembrance. Guide us with your grace. अखर वादा घाटा भुल चुक माफ करनी सबे दे कर रास करने सही प्यारे मेल जिना मिलिया तेरा नाम चित आवे नानक नाम चढ़दी कला तेरे भाने सरबत भला वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह बोले सो निहाल सत श्री अकाल Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you all. You may be seated.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Chloe Breyer. I'm director at the Interfaith Center of New York and would like to thank Tandeep for a beautiful introduction. I did not have matching socks, so my shoes remained on. And I want to thank Hanadi Doleh for our ICNY's Director of Community Partnerships for an extraordinary job in bringing this day together, for Dr. Henry Goldschmidt, who's helped along the way as well. And just to say, Hanadi, the one addition I would make to your very thorough description of what we're doing today and how we're doing it is that those cards on your table could also be used to guess as to what this large object is on my right here, and then compare it to what Dr. Saeed will tell us.
Oh, that's
it
great.
actually is.
Great idea. Great idea.
So over the course of 27 years, the Interfaith Center, as you've heard, has built religiously diverse and civically engaged networks of grassroots and immigrant faith leaders across the 5 boroughs. And these are individuals like yourselves who have attended our social justice retreats, have participated in our religious diversity education programs, and have joined multi-faith advocacy work on, for example, immigration and religious freedom. And lately, as you have been, we have also been supporting diverse houses of worship that are helping migrants. And we all know that our work is cut out for us in this department in the months ahead. And I'm going to bring your attention to Brennan Brink over here, who's the person to talk to if you wish to be part of these rapid response networks that we're doing as well. So, having said that, which is a long way of saying that for people of faith and goodwill, democracy is a daily practice. And this is something that our keynote speaker today, Dr. Sarah Said, would agree with. She is chair of the she's chair and executive director of the New York Civic Engagement Commission, a Bronx resident, and somebody who has been dedicated to building an inclusive public square for almost 2 decades. I'd say perhaps more than 2 decades. Prior to this appointment, she was senior advisor to the former mayor, Bill de Blasio, in his mayor's community affairs unit, where she worked with diverse multi-ethnic and multilingual Muslim constituencies to strengthen the civic engagement of this city, a position that's never existed before. Her public service builds on 7 years of bridge building projects at the Interfaith Center of New York, where she regularly convened New York's diverse grassroots faith leaders. In fact, she was responsible for this retreat a few years back when we were up in Stony Point, and I'll say more about that in a second. She also ran a multi-year collaboration between Catholic and Muslim social service providers. Now, she's being very modest about this in her official bio, so I have to elaborate a little bit. But she actually, some of the fruits of this program included Cardinal Dolan's very first visit to a mosque ever, the Albanian Muslim Center on Staten Island, a census partnership between Catholic and Muslim food security providers together to advocate for census participation in the Bronx, and a multitude of other things. She was finally, again, I'm shocked to see this missing from her bio, she was our ambassador to Scotland for a little while and helped us to shape a sister city relationship with Glasgow. And indeed, one of her most successful Marshall Meyer retreats was a retreat that looked comparatively at police community relations in Scotland, in Catalonia, and in New York. And it involved members of the Strathclyde police force. So that's all I'm going to say. Dr. Said, if you could please join us at the podium. Thank you so much.